Hey, Julia. Hey, Winnie. Hey, Chloe. How are you all? Happy Monday evening. I hope you guys have had a good start to the week, or as good as it can be. Let me know. So, let me organize my screens. It is our support session, and we have one of these every 2 weeks, and I'm good, thank you, Chloe. Thank you very much for asking. So we have one of these every week, and our support sessions really are just Q&A sessions. They're there to support you. They're there to go through any questions you have, anything that's keeping you stuck right now. And of course, you can ask your questions in advance on the post in the Facebook group, or you can ask your questions as we go through this live session tonight. You can just ask away, as always. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get up our post today, and I have obviously had a quick look at some of the questions that came in, and I'll just see if we have any more. So how are we feeling going into, hey Laura, how are we feeling going into October? I think sometimes it can be a bit of a funny time of year, you know, because I feel like summer's kind of gone. I think, you know, when you're an equestrian, if you have your own horse, sometimes it can be a bit of like a time of year where maybe you're starting to like muck out every day. Maybe you do that anyway, but maybe you're starting to muck out every day. Maybe you're starting to, you know, get home and it's dark. It might be that you wake up in the morning and it's dark now. And I think sometimes it can impact mood, you know. I feel like the September to October transition can feel a bit tough, and I feel like the October to November transition, I think that's okay. I think people are like in the swing of things a bit more. I think that, you know, there's things to look forward to, you know, it's Halloween, bonfire night, all that kind of stuff, like Christmas, Black Friday, like things start getting a bit more exciting. But I feel like September to October, you're kind of like, you're so not ready for summer to end. And I feel like sometimes that can impact our moods a little bit. I'm fine, just so you know. But I'm just like, just in case anyone maybe is feeling it, then I think, you know, it's totally understandable. Juliet, cold. Yeah, I've noticed this. It's really getting cold, like in the mornings and in the evenings, actually. It's cold, right? It's not even mild anymore. Scared there's change in weather. Yeah, I totally get that. Rebecca's the only happy one. It's equilight weather. It is equilight season for sure. Hey, Faye, I hope you are fully recovered now. Okay, so let's see what's going on. So Jade, I don't think Jade is here, but Jade has looks like you've had a tough week, Jade, which, you know, it is what it is. It's not it's not always sunshine and rainbows, right? Chloe's got her equilight out. I know, to be honest, like, I was looking at mine and thinking, you're going to be coming out soon, 100%. So Jade said, trying to write goals for this week and my brain isn't even entertaining it because last week went to shit. How do we move past these hiccups and live in the moment? I think that's a really good question. And I kind of I guess it's kind of in the tone, in the vibe of what we're talking about. Now, as always, I will come at this from a kind of manifestation universe perspective because that's me, and this will be hard. This will be hard for some of you to take to start with, okay? And especially if you're not really into manifestation in the universe, you're not going to maybe appreciate this, but I'm going to say it. When things are going wrong, when things are going wrong continuously, okay, which is what you've really said here, Jade, it's there's kind of been one thing after another, I would always question, and again, like I said, this is going to be a hard question for a lot of you to ask yourself because it's a hard question when things happen to me. But when things go wrong, I want you to ask yourself, why did I want this to happen? Okay, why did I want this to happen? Because it might be, not always, but it might be that there is an underlying feeling, there is an underlying reason, there is an underlying thought process that you are going through in your mind that has actually manifested into something happening. Okay, I've had this many, many times where I've manifested myself to get sick. And actually, it's either been because I wanted time off or because I didn't want to do something. And when I really think I manifested myself the worst wisdom tooth infection I have ever had in my life at the start of the year. And it was because I knew I had to do something that I really didn't want to do. Okay, and I knew that I did not want to do this thing, but I knew I was going to have to do it. But I still manifested a whole week off work. It was work related. I manifested a whole week off work because I literally could not do anything because I was in such agony. And I did sit and question myself and I thought, this is not a coincidence. I have brought this into my life because I actually don't want to do X, Y, and Z. So it might be when continuous things are going wrong, always ask yourself, why did I want this to actually happen? Okay, and I know that it's tough, it maybe doesn't make so much sense, but often there is a secret reason rooted so far down in yourself as to why something hasn't worked out. Okay, Carolina, the weather's still good here in Portugal. My mum's just come back from Spain. Her best friend lives on the Spain-Portugal border in, where is it? In Ayamonte. And she sent me some pictures, Carolina, and it just looked it's just summer, isn't it? It's still summer. It looked incredible. So yeah, you are lucky. And yeah, our mind is definitely far too powerful for the good and the bad. Absolutely. So yeah, I would definitely question when things are continuously going wrong, why have I brought this in? Is it, am I scared of something? Is there a fear here that's where I'm trying to stop myself from doing something? Is it that I am I actually didn't really want to do this. Maybe I actually wanted to go and sit on the sofa and I'd done this because I thought I should. There are so many things and reasons why things go wrong, and it's not always because of things we can't control. It's us controlling things. And it is hard to be super honest, like, with that, you know, it's super hard to be super honest with yourself. But as you grow in your mindset, as you grow in awareness of yourself, as you get more conscious of the thoughts you're having, you will start to get to know yourself on this deeper level, which is like, yeah, crazy. And then from a less deep answer, when things are also going wrong. So Jade, where you've said, how do we move past these hiccups and live in the moment? 100%. I always will turn to gratitude after, okay? So this is the key, right? You will have some stuff happen, things happen again and again, or you have like a bad week or whatever, something goes wrong. You are allowed to process your emotions, okay? A lot of us as children, as very young children, we were not necessarily allowed to process our emotions, and that is no one's fault. It's just that, you know, people, they don't know, and they're not necessarily aware of the impact things have when we're a child as to when we're an adult. So many of us were probably told, you know, when we cry, stop crying. Or we learned that crying was bad. We learned that crying was negative. We learned that getting angry was negative, okay? Anger is a very natural emotion, and it's all about how you actually deal with those emotions. So firstly, if things are going wrong, you've got to be able to process your emotions. You've got to allow yourself space and time to go and express the emotion that you want to express. There is no point just trying to stick like a gratitude thing over the top of something that's actually upsetting you, because you won't get anywhere. Number one, you just process, okay? If you want to be angry at the situation, be angry. Go somewhere private, punch a pillow, punch something soft. If you want, if you're angry, if you want to cry, go somewhere private and cry, let it all out, you know, let it all out. And then once you've done from that, once you've kind of seen these emotions, they've come through, you've let them go, you've released them, then you can actually turn to gratitude and be like, okay, everything went wrong, but what is actually going right now? What is going right now? What is going right? What can I be grateful for? And you can write a list of 5 things, 10 things, and you will feel better for doing this, okay? And you can also look at, once you've got a completely level head and you've released all the emotions and you've expressed some gratitude for other things going on in your life, then you can start to look at, right, why did this actually work? You know, why did this work? What learnings have I taken from this situation that I actually didn't like? Because, you know, every single time something has happened in our lives where we think like, that didn't work out, that didn't go to plan, there's a lesson in there for us. And something I thought of this morning, which it's interesting, like, it is an interesting perspective. I thought, you know, if we were all born into a world where we were guaranteed that, you know, manifestations were completely 100% real, you know, we were guaranteed that we were going to live a stress-free life, if we were going to live a life that was complete bliss, like, we would all be very, very bored, really, we would. So let's really look at, like, what learnings can I actually take? Like, when things really go wrong, like when I've been caught in the rain to the point of, Jade, how you were completely soaked, how your lesson messed up, how you came 6 out of 6, you know, we've all been there. Like, what can you actually learn? Because there's a reason these things happened, whether that's because you brought them in yourself, whether that's because you didn't want to actually do something, whether that's because there's a lesson in there that you needed, there's something. And it's up to you to either, you know, move on, don't think about it, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend. You know, if it upset you, it's always good to just go back and be like, okay, well, like, what was actually going on here? And what can we take out of this? And what is actually a good thing here? Because I don't know about you, but in every situation, like, where I've had these annoyances and things have gone wrong, I always actually look back and think, well, actually, I'm kind of glad that happened, because then this happened. And there may be a knock-on effect that you don't know about yet. And that's often the case as well, is that these things happen, these things crop up, these things come out of their way to come and annoy us, mess up our day, ruin our day, whatever. And then we can't help but feel all the feelings of being like angry in that moment, when really we are there's either a lesson in there, or we are expecting a lesson to come from it, and there'll be a reason, and we'll look back and we'll be like, okay, now it makes sense. You know, now I get it. And it's like, you know, when there's a job or something, let's say there's a job and you really want this job, you know, you see this job advertised, you really want it, it looks perfect, you attach all this emotion onto it, and you are like trying to manifest it, and you're just completely obsessed with this job, and you just think, wow, this is going to be absolutely incredible if I get it. And then if you don't get it, you can't understand why. In that moment, you can't understand why. It means so much about you. It means so much about who you are as a person, and, you know, all these things. But in 6 months' time, in 1 year's time, something happens, and you look back and you think, thank goodness I didn't get that job. And it happens every single time in any situation, because the universe always has a greater plan. There's always a bigger thing, okay? So that is my answer there. Okay, cool. That's good. Perfect. Oh, that sounds exciting, Jade. Chloe, I'm really struggling to stay motivated with Instagram at the minute. I know that you've said the issues with reach are due to updates. I just need to stay consistent and push through, but I'm just finding it hard to push through and keep going. Yeah, I get that. I do get that. And if you look at my Instagram page, you tell me when the last time I posted was. Like, I haven't posted either. And that's because, like, I've got reels in my drafts. I look at them, I don't like them. Then that means I'm going to have to go and create more reels, and I don't have like the motivation to do it, just like you guys, because it's hard at the moment. It's really hard. Like, the results aren't there. None of us getting the results that we want. I feel like there's this collective energy, which is why I started this call mentioning this. I feel like there is this collective energy that's just a bit lower, and it's been like this for a little while now, and I think maybe it is this knock-on effect of everything going on right now, and it does have this massive impact on people. And unfortunately, you know, the media and things like that, like, they really dictate how people feel. Like, I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news in years. I don't listen to the news. I don't watch the news. I don't read anything at all. Like, I do not know what's going on in the world, other than through what I hear and what people tell me and what you see on social media. And I would highly recommend that you do the same, because it has a massive impact on the collective energy and the collective mood. And I know that this is super deep for Instagram, like you, Chloe, saying like you're just kind of getting fed up with Instagram. I know it's a super deep answer, but you have literally 2 choices right now. 3 choices. You have 3 choices right now on Instagram. You can stop. You can stop. End it. You can have a break and take a week off or 2 weeks off, or however many weeks off you want. Or you can keep going. They are your 3 options, and it's up to you which one you do. like, I don't think you're gonna stop. I don't think you're gonna quit. So that leaves you with two options, and that is you take a break or you keep going. Now, listen, similar to what I was saying about like collective energy and moving into like this winter and things getting colder, blah, 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 and people maybe are feeling less, you know, low, not less low, that would be good. People are feeling lower, they're not feeling as excitable and happy. You're not feeling as motivated. I'm not feeling motivated by social media, but it's important to remember that you also go through seasons in your life. Like, you will go through a season of feeling like, I don't have energy, I don't have motivation for this, I can't be bothered with this, like, why am I doing this? Like, all of this stuff. You will have seasons in your life. You will have seasons where you're super motivated. You'll have seasons where you're like normal, and then you'll have seasons when you are zero. And right now it sounds like you're pretty zero. You can't be bothered, like, you're not getting any results. It's demotivating. You don't have motivation to create content. And honestly, like, once you become at peace with the fact that you as a person also have seasons where you're really good and other seasons where you just can't be bothered, you kind of just think like your mindset changes and you kind of forgive yourself. Okay, so if you're going through a season right now of, I can't be bothered, like, I'm not getting any results, like, Instagram's really like hard, you know, the followers just aren't there, the reach just isn't there, and I'm not even enjoying creating content. Okay, I'm in a season. Like, I'm actually in a season of this. I'm probably transitioning like the earth. Like, we're so connected to the earth, guys. Like, we are the earth. We are nature. Like, we are part of that. So we are going to be so affected, and we're so in our humanness that we don't see it and we don't notice it, we don't realize it. So when you really think like, actually, I'm in this season where I'm tired, I'm struggling to get out of bed, like, not saying this personally, but I'm saying this as like a collective maybe, or how you might be feeling, or like, you know, the nights are darker, the mornings are darker, it's colder, and I just, and the reach is just not there right now. So what am I going to do about it? Really, again, your only two options are you can carry on, but you don't have to. You can take a break, and you can think, right, I'm going to take a break from creating content. I'll still post on my stories. Like, you know, I would encourage you to still be on your stories where you can. Like, my stories are very minimal as well at the moment, but I would encourage you to be on your stories where you can, because then people know that you are still around. But you can take a break. Like, you are allowed. And I promise you, the minute you surrender to the fact that you're just in a season right now, and this won't last forever, and it will change, the minute you surrender to that, and the minute you think, right, what do I want to do other than social media? Do I want to go and take a walk today? Do I want to go and watch Selling Sunsets on the sofa all day on a Saturday and Sunday and not move and get like popcorn? That's my dream. That's what I'll be doing. Do I want to go and like just spend the whole day with my horse, you know, and leave my phone at home? What do I want to do? Like, what do I need? And you can even put your hand on your heart and you just like sit, take some deep breaths and think like, what do I actually need right now? Like, what do I actually want? Like, let's take social media away. That thing can be picked up, put down. It's fine. Like, what's going to make me happy? And then once you do that and you go and actually do the thing that you feel like you want to do, whether that's sleep all day, go and sit on the sofa as soon as you get in from work and not move, you know, whatever it is, with no judgment from yourself, and knowing that you're in a season, you will get more motivation, because all of a sudden, like, you've taken the stress away. And actually, something that's really interesting how it connects in your class, in one of your classes that you're getting access to next week. It's a class all about money and the energy of money. But in the class, I actually teach that creativity comes from space. No stress, nature, like that's where creativity comes from. So you won't be surprised when you surrender to the fact you're in a season, you surrender to the fact that you're not motivated right now, and that's allowed. It's allowed. And if you can't, just keep posting, just keep posting. If you can't do that, stop, go and give yourself space. Because the problem is you're creating a resistance, right? That is, at the moment, you're putting stress on the fact that you don't have any social media ideas and you don't have the motivation to do content creation. You're putting stress on that. You can't come up with any creative ideas when you are putting stress on it. You know, imagine if you had to write a book. If you had to write a book, imagine if you had to write an essay, imagine if you had to paint a picture and someone was forcing you, saying, go and write that book, go and write that book, go and write that essay, go and write that essay, paint that picture, paint that picture, paint that picture. You know, you must think of a picture to paint right now and do it really good. Like, you're stressing and you can't get creative under stress. Whereas if you remove the stress and you think, yeah, I've got social media to do and I've got content to create and I've got posting to do, yeah, I've got to do that, but there's no stress. Like, I don't need to rush to do that. I don't need to rush to do that. I can go back to that whenever I want. And I'm going to take the stress away from me right now and know that it's okay that I don't post for a week, for 2 weeks. It's okay. Because I have the skills to be able to pick things back up at the minute I want to. Okay, so once you remove that stress, you go into a stress-free zone. And what's going to happen in that stress-free zone? You have taken the resistance away from yourself. So all of a sudden, you'll start feeling more creative and you'll start getting more ideas. And I promise you, this is how it will happen. But you have to allow yourself to take that stress away. So if you can't create content right now, like, I'll force some content out, but it's not going to be that good, but I'll do it. But like, you know, like if you really just think, I can't and I don't want to, take the stress away. And don't. And you will be amazed at how creative you feel and how much of a comeback you make because of the break. And we have to allow ourselves break and everything. You know, let's be real. If you had a full-time job, that's why they give you annual leave. You know, you need a break. Like, they don't give it you out of the kindness. Like, you need a break. So give yourself a break. No stress. If it means going and lying on your back in the horse's field for half a day, go and do it. Like, go and do it. Like, I de-stress best when I'm on the sofa with the duvet watching reality TV, like on Netflix. Like, that is my de-stress zone. Or sitting by my stream, by my house, like, it's a de-stress zone, kind of. I'm always a bit nervous that people are going to be walking their dogs and that I'm just there like, with my eyes shut. So really, you know, find your de-stress zone and go there as much as possible because you will feel so much better. Oh my goodness, go to a pottery class, beating the crap out of a slap is seriously therapeutic. We have a pottery class just literally around the corner from where I live. I've heard fantastic things about pottery classes as well. Hey Pascal, I'm glad that you made it. And yeah, Jade, you know, it's exactly the same for you and what you've said exactly. I've chosen a horrific time to start a charity Instagram, especially since I have no content for it without it being my face. Okay, so if you're starting a new Instagram, Winnie, then but do you want to show your face on it or do you not? Because really, now's quite a good time to just bash out some content. Because when you've created a new page, all you need to do is get a chunk of content on that page. You know, that's the job. You don't have to worry about it being like engaging and all doing all that. Like, the first thing you do when you have a new page is get a chunk of content out. Obviously you want it to be good content, but no one will follow a new page really unless, you know, they know you. But no strangers will follow a new page if there's like 2 posts on there or 3 posts on there. Hey Rebecca, hey Emily. Oh, so nice to see you guys. That's good, yeah. Stories are that's good. I'm glad that you're still enjoying stories. Stories are good. I tell myself I want to go to the gym and I love a social media break away from my not really from my horsey account, but 100% from the personal. Yeah. I get that. Yes, definitely allow yourself to do it. And yeah, Carolina, taking a break is usually taken as laziness. And that's the problem, isn't it? Is that like we have been so conditioned to think that, you know, if we take a break, if we take some time off, if we lay on the sofa all day, like that's bad. And it's not, you know, it's not bad. It's just what we've been conditioned to think. It's just what we've been conditioned to know about. Laziness really is like getting on the sofa and not having a plan of when you're going to get up again. You know, like, I'm just going to stay here for the foreseeable. Like, then, you know, you kind of think like, or laziness might be like, well, I don't know, like, you know, if I struggle to get out of bed now, I start questioning what am I not wanting to do? Like, there's something here that I don't want to do. It's not that I'm lazy, it's that, you know, because there was a point where I wasn't getting out of bed until like 9, half 9, you know, in the week. And I do work late, don't get me wrong, but for me it was like, right, why am I sleeping this long? And this isn't anything to do with me and my laziness. This is to do with a job or a task or something about my business that I don't want to do. So it's another way that my body is trying to stop me from doing something that I don't want to do. It's a charity as they need to fundraise, get funding for their work, but sadly they don't get. I need content to be able to grow their oh yeah, that's a tricky one. That's a tricky one, and I think I see this with social media managers when people, and this is why I don't do it, when people give a page to someone else, like a social media manager, they expect the social media manager to create content, but that is not the case. They still need to create content. You know, that's, if they don't want to create content, then they need a content creator and a social media manager, because social media manager is really in charge of like posting, engaging, like taking their content and actually posting it for them. But definitely 100% like they need to be creating content for you. So Winnie, I'm thinking like, have an idea of like guide them. What kind of content would you like them to take? Even if they just take little, like, obviously I don't know the context, I don't know the charity, I don't know what it is, but can they take videos or photos? You know, I don't know. I'm just gonna, as an example, if it was like an equestrian charity or even like an equestrian brand or whatever, whoever's page you're managing, like they need to be the ones that actually take the content. Like, can they take little videos that they can send to you and you can create a reel? Like, can they take photos and you can put it to sound and put some text over the top? Like, you know, they definitely need to come towards you, which might require you to, you know, lay down your boundaries, which is hard, you know, like, we're so polite, but if you're doing this, you definitely need to tell them, like, this is what I'm going to need in order to be able to do this for you. Jade's hit it on the head. Okay, perfect. Right, so I will just scroll down. We have a couple more questions here. So Winnie, I may have created more holes in my bucket and energy is leaking out instead of going back in. I feel exhausted, but I need to keep going. So hopefully what I have said has kind of, I know nothing can really give you a quick fix, but hopefully it's given you some kind of like support. And maybe, Winnie, you need to go back and do the exercise where we identified where the leaks were coming from. And also, if you know, you are aware right now of the extra leaks you've given yourself. And because now you have this new level of awareness, Winnie, you're like, oh shit, like, I'm taking this thing on and it's draining the fuck out of me, and now I've created this extra leak and now I don't know what to do. So definitely really take a look at this thing that has created this leak and just think about, what can I do now to make this better for me? Like, what can I do, or what do I need to do? I have no boundaries. I have taken on writing grant applications for them with no experience. Okay, so what do we need to do then to create you some boundaries? Because the thing is that and this goes for everyone, okay? When you have a boundary, all you need to do is tell someone what that boundary is in a nice way. And what happens on the other end of that is their issue, not yours. Okay, because so many people are not necessarily aware, like, they're not aware of their own thoughts or anyone else's thoughts. Like, they're so consumed in this life that we're all living that instantly it's like offensive if someone gives a boundary, when it's so not. Like, and I think the biggest thing with boundaries is understanding that you are responsible for you. They are responsible for them. You are not responsible for how they feel on the receiving end of your boundary. And you know, when you look through life in the people you've met, normally the people that you have the most respect for, the people that you like, or you think, like, I like this person, I don't know, like, I admire this person, I don't quite know why. It's normally because they actually have strong boundaries. And I think the difficulty is that we think by giving boundaries and saying what we want makes us a bad person, makes people not like us, when in fact people will respect you so much more if you actually have a boundary. And you can be a nice person and have a boundary. And I can sit here and say this from someone who still struggles with boundaries, but used to have none, absolutely none. And I was the biggest people pleaser going. And actually, you know, I can set a boundary with my boyfriend, really, like, boom, here's my boundary. I can set a boundary with my mum. Like, I can be super, super honest. But give me anyone outside of that circle, like, I still struggle to be my truest boom, here's my boundary. Like, and actually what it will go back to is, okay, where was there a time in my life, or where were there times in my life where I was told off for expressing how I feel? Where was there a time in my life where I was made to feel like I can't say what I think? You know, in friendship circles, in school, was there a time in my life where I was really, you know, trying to be liked, and I was so scared of losing friendships, or someone said something to me that made me feel like, you know, I can't speak my mind. I'm not safe to speak my mind, or people think I'm a bad person if I speak my mind. And, you know, like, without going too like crazy into this, the media does awful things to women with boundaries. You look at films, when you look at TV programs, any woman who says what she thinks, says what she likes, says what she doesn't like, and says it in a very, you know, in a nice way, but in a direct way, like, this is my boundary, she's called a bitch. She's depicted as the bad character, you know, and you can start seeing these patterns, which again has made us, particularly women, over the generations, made us feel like we can't set boundaries, that we have to try and people please, that we have to be nicey, that we have to, you know, make sure that everyone's okay, and that, like, you know, that people aren't offended, and that we don't upset anyone. It's like, no. And you will be so much happier with boundaries, because now look what's happened, Winnie. Because you haven't had a boundary in place, you now feel worse, whereas someone else feels better, and that they are not your responsibility. You're your responsibility. But don't beat yourself up about this, Winnie, because we've all done it, and we all continue to do this every day. But the fact is, now you are aware of it, and you can start thinking, like, this is going to be a work in progress, but you can start understanding, like, where did this come from? What am I scared of as well? Like, what am I actually scared of? Maybe even more so, more important than what happened in the past. Like, what am I actually scared of if I set a boundary? What do I think is going to happen? And then you'll start understanding that maybe past experiences have made you think a certain way. You know, made you feel like you can't set a boundary because X, Y, and Z might happen, or she'll say X, Y, and Z to me, or she'll bitch about me to someone else, or she'll tell me that she doesn't want me to work for them anymore, or all of these things. It could be that you actually just get your journal out and you say, why, you know, think of the specific time when you did not set a boundary and then it impacted you negatively. Why did I agree to do X, Y, and Z? Why did I do that when I knew I didn't want to? And you can write that, and then underneath you can write all the reasons, like, why did I actually do that? What was I scared of? What did I think the other person was going to say? Because there's your reasons, and then you can start working through them, and you can, you know, the first step is awareness. Also, the second step is just telling yourself a story that's like, okay, I agreed to do X, Y, and Z because I was scared that this person would tell me that they didn't want to work with me anymore. And then you can say, but if this person doesn't want to work with me because I won't do X, Y, and Z, do I even want to work with this person? No. And then you can say, did anything actually happen for me to think that this could happen? You know, I'm just making assumptions now about this other person. Like, I'm just guessing how this other person's going to react. Like, that's not even real. That's something I'm making up in my own head, you know? I've noticed I get angry at things that I went through, and I see others going through the same thing. And I've noticed I get angry. Yeah, I totally get that. Just left a really toxic housemate. She's running her mouth about me to multiple flats. Yeah, you got the better deal. 100%. And it's that classic saying, what Sally says about Susie says more about Sally than it does about Susie. It's that classic saying. Does everyone know that? What Sally says about Susie says more about Sally than what it does Susie. I live by that. But yeah, setting boundaries will be the most liberating thing. Especially when it all works out much better than you thought and you're like, oh my goodness, I've completely made this whole thing up in my mind this whole time, and I've also been letting people walk all over me for this whole time unnecessarily. But definitely the road and the route to being like a strong, boundary setting, independent female in particular, it's a long one and it's a process. But as long as you're aware of where maybe you need to make changes or where you need to work on, like, that is the biggest step. The rest of it just comes, okay? So Abby said, crazy busy, social media side of Equestrian Lodge is slacking. I don't have time for it. Any tips for just posting like we're still here, but without having to really think too much? I've had to step down the social media side as we are so busy. Our biggest year yet. How incredible is that? But I know it's not ideal to just completely dump the socials. Okay, so if you're looking and considering a virtual assistant, you might want to have a look at, maybe you're already doing this, but you might want to have a look at a virtual assistant that specializes in social media. Because if social media is the thing that you're slacking in now, is that the thing that you need the most? You know, which I would question. You know, that's not me saying that's what you need the most. Because it's not. Because your business is going, you know, you're having your biggest year yet and you're posting the least I've seen you post on social media. But how important is social media for you? You know, do you want a VA that's just going to do bits of everything? Do you want a VA that's going to help you with some of everything and social media? Because that could be a good way to get around this. And I think any tips for posting, I think, can you go back and have a look on Canva and see if you have any old carousel posts? Because you could just reuse them. You don't have to, you know, you don't have to just keep creating reel after reel after reel, and you don't have to create new carousel posts either. So I would go and have a look at what carousel posts you can reuse. I would also go and have a look at some of your top tips, because sometimes I think like carousel posts, they don't necessarily do the best, obviously, but like they can be quick. They can be quite quick if you're not faffing around with the design, if you've got a template already done. So have a look through some of your top tips on reels that you've done. Can you turn any of those into super quick carousel posts? And then just download them and then post 3 times a week to your feed, and then still continue on stories. I think the most important thing for you is, if you can't post a lot on your feed, try and keep your stories live every 24 hours, because then people know that you're still around. That's the biggest thing. Stories over feed, because people will go on your feed, your profile, and if you haven't posted in 3 weeks in the feed, but you've got a story live, no one questions it. Whereas if you haven't posted for 3 weeks in the feed and you haven't got a story live, everyone thinks your business has died a death, or your page, or you've abandoned your page, you've given up, you've quit, like, or someone's died. Like, they'll always think that. But if you've got a story live, like, you maybe haven't posted to your feed in a year, but if you've got a story live, like, you're good to go. So that would be my biggest tip. Well, 3 things. If you can do a crossover social media VA, like, if you think that would be useful, that might be something to explore. See what you can repurpose and reuse. And number 3, just keep the stories going, if nothing else, because that's the most important thing. even if it's one story a day. Because it doesn't matter what content is in the story so much at this point. Like if you're not looking to drive customers, it's just so that you've got that little glow around your profile picture. It's like the little glow of the fact like she's alive. That's all that matters. What's actually in that story, I don't care. As long as there's a story there in this point, in this process, in this position that you find yourself currently in. Okay, guys, so I think that's all the questions. I hope this was helpful. And then next week we have our goal setting again. Like, that's crazy, right? That's crazy. So I was actually going to do a post about this at some point, but anyone who struggles with time management, and let's say just a quick one before we end, anyone who struggles with time management, anyone who struggles with planning their day. Now, I haven't been tested for ADHD, but I'm suspected ADHD, and having like spreadsheets, looking at spreadsheets, having like my time block spreadsheet that I've created, like sometimes I find that hard, like sometimes I don't find it like engaging for me, and I tend to drift around. I don't stick to it. But I have actually found an app called Scheduled. No, it's not called Scheduled. It's not called Scheduled. It's called Structured. Okay? Structured. And I really like it. I'll show you. So obviously, like, this is a Sunday. I had nothing in it. That's not really going to show very well. It's not really going to show very well. But, like, so that's sort of a reminder that's just gone off. So, like, you put your wake up time, and because I also have dyscalculia, so it's like numbers are not good for me. Sometimes I struggle with like how much time I have between tasks, and this, it doesn't, I'm not giving you a very good example here. Okay, here we go. So this is like, in pink is like my day-to-day stuff. So like wake up, gym, breakfast, lunchtime, yoga, shower, wind down. Like that's every day plugged in. And then what I can see is like, I don't think you can see this, but it says create some tasks for this 1.5 hour gap. So then you can like create a task, and you think like, right, that's 1.5 hours there. So I can create a task that I'm going to follow and do. And like you can color code it. You can have like little visuals, which I find really helpful. And it's just laid out, I think, in an easy to digest way. And you can set like reminders. So like I have reminders that go off before, at the start and the end of every session. I mean, look, it was my first full day today, and I got my timings totally wrong, and I missed 2 tasks because I overworked. But that's fine. Like, you learn, you calculate how long things actually take, and then you go again, and then eventually you have this plan that actually works. Okay, so that's called Structured. The free version is okay, but I have the paid version. It was like £8 for the year or something. I don't know. It was cheap, and it's been really good. Like, so I would recommend that. Like, if you're struggling, like I don't like using Google Calendar. I don't particularly like using spreadsheets anymore. Like, these things just, they don't necessarily work for my brain. But this seems to be working for my brain. The layout seems to be like working for me. So if anyone's the same, looks like some of you are the same as me. So that's good. So there's something out there that can help us, I think. Okay, guys, so I'm going to love you and leave you then. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad that this was helpful, and I will speak to you all very soon.